Good morning everyone, this is Fight and I'm about to show you why claws are absolutely amazing in Path of Exile. So as you may know, claws have an inherent life leech, which means if you use 2 claws you should be at the life leech cap, which is 20% of your maximum life. For me this would translate into something like 1,300 per second. I am actually just below this cap myself because my physical damage isn't quite as high as it should be right now. As you can see here, this is Merciless Dominus, and for good reason. People are very afraid of this fight because he does very high damage until you're pretty high geared and pretty high level. And I will be honest, this is a level 88 character, it's almost 89, and my gear is pretty fucking good. But I have been farming Dominus for a very long time with this character. I think I started at like level 80 or so. My gear wasn't that good, and this is for the simple reason that my life leech is so high. We're about to see here. So, oh, that was a block, okay. So the damage he does to me, as you can see, is leached back to me almost immediately, making me effectively immune to his damage in a way, as long as I keep attacking. And on top of my life leech I have 300 or nearly 300 life regeneration, which is independent and stacks with life leech. So I have 1.6 thousand almost life per second as long as I attack. And the concept is, as long as I do attack, I should not be able to die in any case whatsoever. I can get one shot by some pretty crazy combination of map mods, but pretty much every build has that exact flaw, so you should not be able to die with this build. Let's have a look at the passive tree here. You can make this build with 3 different classes, maybe 4. You can be a Scion, a Marauder, or a Duelist. You could be a Ranger if you really wanted to. There's a couple of notes here that I find inefficient personally, but you can do it if you really like the Ranger for some reason. So as a Scion, you typically start off, you go down here, you don't take these 6% notes, they're kind of inefficient. You take this life wheel. If you take this really early, you should have about 600 life in Act 2, and that's pretty crazy, I think. This attack speed here, you don't really take it until late game because it's counterproductive. It's gonna make you spend more mana, and you don't really have that much mana. Master of the Arena is very important, you should go for that very quickly. The weapon range is a big deal. Mana flows, this helps you with mana leeching. If you cannot keep up with your mana leech, you should immediately take this note. Vigor is the first endurance charge that you're gonna go to after Master of the Arena. After that you should start moving towards the Marauder tree here. Unwavering Stance is typically not something you need or want in the beginning, because you're gonna have such an insane life pool that you just cannot get stunned anyway. Blood Drinker, obviously very nice. Stamina again, endurance charge. These notes here in the Marauder tree, they're not very good. I typically take them around, I think level 70 or 80 maybe, because the life per node is not that great. Resolute Technique is a pretty big deal. You get this around level 50, I would say. Elemental Adaptation, you picked that up on the way. You should be up here at about level 70, I think, 60 to 70 maybe. And that's the last endurance charge. And if we help Oak in Merciless, we get the 7th endurance charge. And I'm about to show you why this is important. So if you look at your character panel, you see here the estimated physical damage reduction, which is based on a mob of your level, but it's based on an average hit. So hits like the Vile Smash, for example, are not average hits. They're very large hits, and because of the way armor works, you don't actually get 39% reduction on those kind of hits. And I assume almost everybody has died to Val at one point or another, either to desync or to something else. Maybe you thought you could take the smash, but you just couldn't. Maybe you thought you had more reduction than you actually did. However, endurance charges work completely differently than armor does. It is completely separate. It is added on top of everything else, and it gives you an effective 4%. I believe Val does 6,000 physical and 6,000 fire damage. And so we reduced this 6,000 by 28% after armor reduction and elemental reduction comes into effect. So that's a pretty big deal. So let's see what 7 endurance charges do to his hit here. So as you can see, that was like a little bit over 3,000 there. And the range that he should hit me at would be 3,000 to 3,007 or 500 maybe. He shouldn't ever hit me more than that. So I would recommend, if you have 7 endurance charges, you should be looking at least 4,000 life until you take this kind of hit. Alright, so let's look at gear here for a second. Let me get to town quickly. Alright, so your main damage link is going to be dual strike or double strike if you feel the need for a shield, which you shouldn't, because it's just not necessary until very high level maps. Melee splash, very important, so you have some AoE. Melee physical damage, maybe multi-strike first if you don't have a 4 link. You could put that first. Faster attacks, definitely your 5th link. I'm not a big fan of added fire damage simply because I want to do mainly physical damage because I want to leech more life and more mana. Then we have here cast on damage taken. This is level 1, so it procs all the time, especially on high level, because 440 damage isn't that much. You take that all the time. Vulnerability, so you just curse everything as you take damage. You can replace that with Enfeeble, of course, if you want to take less damage. Enduring Cry, you only level this to 5, so it still casts, because if you level it more than 5, it's not going to trigger anymore because of the way they changed cast when damage taken. Then we have the Molten Shell link, which is all maxed out. It's a max level Molten Shell. It doesn't proc a lot, but when it does, because it is linked with Life Leech and with Iron Will, it does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage. I think it's almost 5,000, almost 5,000 damage. And so it leeches a lot and it does a lot of damage at the same time. It's pretty good. Then we have the Aura link here. You can, I recommend you use Hatred Aura, maybe Grace if you need to or if you want to, but typically I use Hatred and a Resistance Aura of some kind. I'm using Ice at the moment because I'm not actually code capped on Merciless without that. Then we have here a manual cast Enduring Cry, Whirling Blades for movement, very nice, with faster attacks, just so it's faster. In the offhand I have some Culling Strike, Leap Slam, this is just for movement again, and another Leap Slam with item rarity and Culling Strike for the extra magic find effect. Alright, so I'm often asked about leveling uniques. For leveling uniques we have, if you want to level with claws from the beginning, we have the Last Resort, which is very nice. You can use that right away, it doesn't have a level requirement. Then we have the Aldi, which is also extremely good. It does, however, have a very slow attack speed, so the only good thing about this really is that it has an insane amount of life leech. So you can use, what you should do is use a second weapon that is very fast to equalize the attack speed of this weapon. Because dual strike, it calculates your attack speed based on the main hand and the offhand, and it takes an average of the two. So, for example, you could use the Aldi with a Mortum Morsu. This is another thing. It has a very high attack speed, and it has converted physical to chaos damage, which can work in your favor but also against it. It does a lot of damage, but it makes you leech more. It makes you leech less. So you use more mana because of the attack speed and you leech less mana, so it kind of becomes a problem, especially if you want to use two of these. I have done it, but I will say it's a little bit awkward. So then we have the Bloodseeker. This is actually the most, I'm asked about this unique the most. People often say it's a good thing to have, but the main thing about this is that the Life Leech is applied instantly. This works like Valpact in essence. It is not at all necessary for this build. That's why I feel, because it is such a rare weapon, because it is such an expensive weapon, it just doesn't do enough DPS to be worth buying because of what you could have bought instead for that kind of currency. So here we have the Wormsmold, a very classic physical / melee type unique. It's almost a necessity. I would definitely buy it, even if it was a very fresh league, even if it was expensive, because it's definitely worth it. You're gonna use this for a very long time. Also, because of the intellect requirement, because of the intellect it gives, claws have an int requirement, and that sometimes becomes a problem as you level up. So this is actually really good. So I think that covers just about everything, guys. If you have any further questions, you can check out my stream. It's gonna be in the description. There's gonna be a couple of example skill trees in the description as well. And if you have anything else, anything at all, just check out the stream. I'll answer all your questions, and I hope you enjoyed this guide. Maybe you'll try it out. It's pretty fucking good. And I'll see you guys around.